All so much for putting your hat in the ring for us here in Ashland and Framingham. I've had the privilege of meeting with each one of you, and I am just, well, except for Mr. Wilson, I just found out you're running. But you guys bring such credibility to the potential office, and I think we'll be very fortunate with whoever represents our district here. When we look at our databases from the CDC and other government health organizations, we see more than 40 diseases that have more than doubled since 1990, including autism, Alzheimer's, chronic fatigue, youth bipolar disorder, food allergies, and electrohypersensitivity, and a lot more. Our scientists tell us that these are not primarily genetic because we've not gone cradle to grave in that time, so they are man-made. How do you propose we get information to the public and put laws in place when industry is so powerful at promoting toxic products over public health?
Thank you. Yolanda, can you start us off with that, please?
Sure. Thank you for the question, Cece. And I know you and I have had a couple of discussions specifically about the Wi-Fi issue and technology. And unfortunately, we are learning more and more that industry is directing a lot of our food and affecting our food and affecting technology and how we do things. And I think at the state level, I think we have to work with the companies that are within our state to see what we can do with them in regards to either laws or regulations, but not, it's finding that balance. We need to make sure that businesses are still able to be in business to sell us the goods that they need to create, but doing it with a balance of ensuring that the products that they are giving to the public is healthy. Some of it will be at the state level in regards to food packaging and labeling issues. A lot of it will be at the federal level in regards to GMOs and things like that. But we certainly as a state could do more, and it would be something I would look into as a state rep.
Thank you. Phil?
Could you just, I'm sorry, just repeat the end, the question at the very end there?
Sure. What can we do to educate the public and put laws into place so that industry can no longer push corporate profits over public health?
Right. So, a great question, and we've also had the chance to meet recently, and I have to say I've turned off my Wi-Fi at night because now you've got me scared. I mean, the answer is relatively simple. I mean, you just have to have some political courage, and you have to stand up to very powerful lobbies. You know, and I think this is one of the reasons I'm proud to be a Democrat. I think the Democrats overall have a better, regulation is not a dirty word for Democrats. You need to have reasonable, common sense regulation. I mean, deregulation was all the rage, and we had the Great Recession because of it. And so I think I don't want to overregulate. I absolutely don't. I want sense of luck. I'm a small business owner. Believe me, I get annoyed sometimes when at unnecessary paperwork in my business. But we need to have reasonable, sensible regulation. And if that means standing up to a powerful lobby, I'm more than happy to do it. The day I need this job is the last day I ever do it. And so I will always, always do what's right.
Thank you. Jack?
I also want to thank you for meeting with me, and I, like Phil, probably haven't looked at my cell phone the same way since that conversation. I was happy to learn that Ashland School Committee, I think, was the first committee in the country to put together some suggestions for teachers to talk with parents, for parents to explore around technology, Wi-Fi signals. Whenever we get a phone or we get an electronic, as I learned through my conversation with Cece, you get this really, really, really long disclaimer. Sometimes you click OK, sometimes it's folded up in the bottom of the box. And in that, there are details about how some of these electronics aren't supposed to be touching our skin for more than 5 seconds. They're not supposed to be within 5 inches of our body for more than a couple minutes. In the same way that the gun industry shouldn't be setting their own regulations, the telecommunications industry should not be setting their own regulations on this. So I'm proud of Ashland School Committee for leading the way on this. I'm proud of Senator Spilka for putting forth some legislation this last legislative cycle to not set in place restrictions, we're not there yet, to instead have conversations and to explore and to require that the all that data, all that information that's buried in the bottom of text and those little pieces of paper folded in the bottom of your cell phones, that the important data that affects all of our lives, that potentially could affect our health, that is bolded and up front, so we all are required to see it.
Thank you. Brett?
And I, too, had a very, very long conversation with Mr. Set about this whole thing. But what I'll tell you, here's the answer to the question that you were asking. The question you were asking is, how do we ensure that the proper regulations are put in place, right? How do we ensure? So here's the answer. You don't get in bed with special interest groups. I told you at the beginning, didn't accept a single dollar the entire campaign from any special interest groups. I'm not beholden to anybody. I owe no favors anywhere. So that's the very first thing. You break this cycle of special interest groups being able to, because this is actually, I'm answering kind of a broader question here. Yours is one subset, but I would break the cycle of special interest groups funding campaigns. And also, as I said quite boastfully in my last statement, not establishment, don't care about getting in with big business, don't ever plan on jumping over to big business. So perfectly happy staying in the public sector my whole life, so I owe no favors. I will owe no favors to any businesses, be they Wi-Fi, mobile, or any other big businesses. That's how I'll ensure that the proper and the safe codes and laws are in place.
Thank you. Cliff?
First of all, Kathy, is this water from the tap? Or? Yeah, no, you bring up you bring up a very good point, and I'm not sure that I have an answer for it right at the moment. It's certainly one that if something can be done at the state level, I sure would love to jump in on that. I'm not sure at what level. I mean, I think that's a multi-level problem, and we're looking there at. I hear them talking Wi-Fi. They've evidently had previous conversations with you about that, but I mean, we're also, we're talking Monsanto. We're talking the Zika virus that probably came from mosquitoes that came out of being sprayed with products. And yeah, we look at everything we eat, or everything potentially that we eat. And you're right. I mean, there are, and some people will say, when you ask that question about, gee, why is there more autism now, or why do kids all of a sudden have peanut butter allergies or whatnot? I mean, these were things that didn't exist in the past. Or they didn't. I shouldn't say they didn't exist, but they were a very, very small percentage. And all of a sudden, they just boom, they were there. And I don't have the answers as to why they're there, but it sure is something that needs to be addressed. I thank you for asking the question.
Thank you, Cliff.